dear 6th standard children. Welcome to our English online class. So, are you all ready to listen to the session? Yes. Before we are starting the class, so here is a finger exercise for you. So, all of you will do with me, children? Yes. Come on, everybody get up from your place. Yes. Now we can start our finger exercise. It is a very beautiful exercise which helps you to move your finger very easily. Okay, shall we start? Yes, children. Here we go. Shall we sing the song? Yes. One little finger, turn, 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 turn to a worm. Crawl, crawl, crawl. Okay, children. So, will you repeat with me? One little finger, turn, 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 turn to a worm. Crawl, crawl, crawl. Two little finger, turn, 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 turn to a rabbit. Jump, jump, jump. Come on, repeat with me. Two little finger, turn, 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 turn to a rabbit. Jump, jump, jump. Next. Three little finger, turn, 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 turn to a butterfly. Fly, fly, fly. Come on, repeat with me. Three little fingers, turn, 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 turn to a butterfly. Fly, fly, fly. Four little fingers, turn, 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 turn to a cat. Meow, meow, meow. Four little fingers, turn, 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 turn to a cat. Meow, meow. Next. Five little fingers, turn, 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 turn to a tiger. Roar, roar, roar. Five little fingers, turn, 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 turn to a tiger. Roar, roar, roar. So, okay, children, everybody would have loved this finger exercise, I hope. Yes? Okay. Now, shall we step into the class? So, children, now we can step into the poem. This is a simple and beautiful poem. So, can you guess which poem I'm going to take today? Do you have any guesses, children? The poem is I Dream of what? Spices. Yes. Today we are going to see about a beautiful and simple poem. I Dream of Spices. So if I say spices, no, what comes to your mind immediately? Is it veg pulao? Yes, my favorite food is veg pulao, children. It is spicy and delicious food. So tell your mom to prepare this for you. Okay. So they will add different spices for all the foods. If it is sambar, they will add different types of spices. If it is biryani, they will add different types of spices. So spices plays an important role in our delicious food. Okay, children. So today we are going to see about the poem. Which poem? Come on, tell me. I dream of spices. Okay, children. Come on, let's get started. Children, this poem, I Dream of Spices, was written by the poet Arumugam, Raj Arumugam. Okay, so the poem I Dream of Spices was written by Raj Arumugam. He is a poet. Okay, so shall we see something about the poet Raj Arumugam? Yes. So who is Raj Arumugam? This man, Raj Arumugam, is an writer. Okay, he is a story writer, children. Okay.
Raj Arumugam is a very good poet, children. He lived in Singapore till 1997, a year in the UK, and now he lives in Australia. Raj Arumugam is a teacher, poet, writer, and also a businessman. So in this poem, he would have depicted the beautiful memory of the little boy when he is going for shopping to buy something for his mother.
He is a very good writer. So now you know something about Raj Arumugam, I hope. Okay, children. So actually, this poem, I Dream of Spices, is a poem written by Raj Arumugam, but in the memory of a little boy, one who is going to purchase for his mother. Okay, he's going to purchase something for his mother, it seems. So, in the memory of that little boy, this Raj Arumugam has written this beautiful poem. So children, shall we recite the poem I Dream of Spices? Yes, once we will recite, then we will start the class. Okay. Yes. I dream of spices. What is the poem name? I dream of spices. Okay. What is the first line? My mother would say, little boy Raj, go to Muthu's and get some cinnamon, betel leaves and ginger and garlic. Yes, what is the first stanza, children? My mother would say, little boy Raj, go to Muthu's and get some cinnamon, betel leaves and ginger and garlic. Yes, children. So, in the first stanza, what the poet Arumugam is trying to tell here? He is telling that the mother, no, that is Raj's mother. Who is the little boy here? Raj. Okay. So, the little boy, Raj's mother is telling that little boy Raj, go to Muthu's. Muthu's means who is here, Muthu? Muthu means it is Muthu shop. We will tell, no, Mummy, I am going to Annachi shop. We will tell, no. In the same way, here the mother is telling to Raj to go to Muthu's shop. Whose shop? Whose shop? Muthu's shop. So little boy Raj now very excited to go to Muthu's shop. So the mother is telling what she is telling to buy. From the first stanza you would have learned, right? What the mother is telling to buy? Cinnamon, betel leaves, ginger and garlic. These are the spices, children. Okay. Cinnamon, betel leaves, ginger and garlic. You know what is cinnamon, right? It is a bark of a tree. Like it will be like a very small size. Okay. It is taken from the bark of the tree, and this is mostly used in biryani. Yes, this cinnamon is also one of the spice. And then betel leaves. You know betel leaves, no, children? It will be like, it is a leaf. Okay. So this betel leaf, no, has been chewed by our grandfather, grandmother and all. They have a habit of chewing this betel leaves. And also it has an important place in the rituals. Like when they pray to God, no, they will keep this betel leaves and they will pray to God. Okay. They have this kind of belief also. So, Raj's mother is telling to buy cinnamon, betel leaves and then ginger and garlic. So, ginger and garlic in what they will add? They will add in biryani only, and also garlic they will add in rasam. Yes, children. Shall we see the second stanza now? Yes. And so, I go to the shop singing all the way, and when Muthu asked me. So what this boy is doing, no, Raj? He is singing all the way and he is going to the shop now. He's carrying one bag and he is singing all the way. Like what the mother told to buy? Cinnamon, betel leaves, ginger and garlic. No, he is singing like a cinnamon, betel leaves, ginger and garlic. Like that he is singing all the way and he is going to whose shop? Muthu's shop. Okay.
What I had want, I rattle off a list. Sesame seeds, onions, tomatoes and pickles. Here what the poet is telling children. So, Santosh went to the shop and he is asking the sesame seeds, onions, tomatoes and pickles, it seems, children. So see here, he forgot what he has to buy and he has bought some other thing. Rattle off means he is reciting.
Yes, children, now shall we see the third stanza, which consists of only 3 lines. Okay. And back home, mother twist my ears. Like this. Twisting, no? When you commit a mistake, what your mother will do? Your mother will twist like this, right? So, and back home means, now Raj is back to home. Okay, back home. He is back home. He came to home. What the mother is doing? Mother twist the ears. So like this she's doing what you have done, like that. So what Raj is telling? Raj is telling ouch. Ouch means what? The expression of a pain. For example, if you're so cute, no, and what they will do? Your grandmother, mother, your sister, everybody loves to do this, right? So if they do like this, what will happen? It will pain here, no? So immediately, ouch. If you tell that ouch means, it is the expression of the, that is a sound, okay. It is the expression of the pain, okay. The sound that expresses the pain. What is meant by ouch? The sound that expresses the pain. So, when Muthu came to home, he has bought sesame seeds, tomatoes, onions and pickles, no. So, the mother is shocked. What? I told you to buy what you have bought. So, what she did? She twist whose ears? Raj's ears. Okay. So, Raj is telling ouch. Ouch like that. Okay. Yes, children. Now, shall we go for a recap now? Yes. So now he can recall the poem I Dream of Spices. So I Dream of Spices is a simple and beautiful, interesting poem. It is very short poem written by the poet Raj Arumugam. So we also learnt about Raj Arumugam that he is a good story writer.
And also his poems will be interesting, children.
And we saw that this poem consists of 3 stanzas. In that, the first stanza tells about the mother is telling to the little boy Raj to go to Muthu shop, Muthu Anna shop, and get some cinnamon, bitter leaves, ginger and garlic. But what this little boy Raj is doing? He is going to the shop, singing all the way. When he is going to the shop, no, in the streets, so he is singing cinnamon, bitter leaf, ginger and garlic. Like that he is singing and going. But when he goes near the shop, what he is doing? He is reciting, he is rattling off a list that sesame seeds, tomatoes, onions and pickles, he is telling that. But actually the mother didn't ask that. So he is getting those things and he is returning to his home. So the mother is opening the carry bag and she is seeing that actually that is not the list she has said. Okay. So what happens now? Now the mother is twisting Raj's ear, like she is twisting for the punishment. Okay. So she is giving the punishment. It seems that he has forgot everything and he has bought some other list. So then what happens? Raj is telling ouch. Why? Because when mother is twisting out, it's paining for him. So the word ouch is an expression of a pain.
Children, now we can see glossary. Okay, that is the meanings. First word, cinnamon. What is the meaning of cinnamon? The bark of a tree that gives a delicious flavor to food. Cinnamon. What is the meaning for cinnamon? The bark of a tree that gives a delicious flavor to food. If we add cinnamon, the food will be delicious. It gives a delicious flavor. Number 2, garlic. What is the meaning of garlic? A small bulb with a strong taste used in cooking. Yes, what is the meaning of garlic? A small bulb with a strong taste used in cooking. This is also one of the spices that is used in our cooking. And then rattle off. What is the meaning of rattle off? Recite, which means reciting, telling. Okay. The poem and all, how what we will do? We will sing, right? We will recite, right? In the same way, the little boy Raj here is rattling off a List of spices. Rattle off, recite. Sesame seeds, gingerly seeds. Sesame seeds, gingerly seeds. Ouch. What is the meaning for ouch? Sound that expresses pain. Ouch. Sound that expresses pain. Children, now we can see the book back exercise of the poem I Dream of Spices. B. Choose the correct answers. So, will you tell the answer for this? Choose the correct answers. Number 1. Mother called dash. Mother called dash. Whom the mother called? The little boy Raj only? No. Yes, Raj. A. Muthu. B. Raj. C. Ram. Mother called Raj. Yes. Number 2. Mother did not ask for cinnamon, cardamom, betel leaves. Mother did not ask for cinnamon, cardamom, betel leaves. Yes, actually mother asked for cinnamon and betel leaves. So which she did not ask for? That is cardamom. Mother did not ask for cardamom. 3. Raj did not buy. Which one he did not buy, children? Onions and sesame he has bought. Ginger and garlic he did not buy. Yes, the answer is ginger and garlic. Tomato and pickles he has bought. Raj did not buy ginger and garlic. Yes. Okay, children. So now shall we see this? This is the alliteration given in the poem, children. What is the meaning of alliteration? Alliteration is nothing but it is a repetition of the consonant at the beginning of two or more words in a line. Example, mother twist my ears. Children, here you can see the alliteration is a repetition of consonant. Okay, so what is a consonant? First, you have to know about the vowels. Vowels is A, E, I, O, U. Apart from this A, E, I, O, U, the other letters, other sounds are called as consonants. So, in this poem, see this line, mother twist my ears. Mother twists my ears. Here you can see the word consonant, yum sound is there. So, in that particular line, in mother, yum sound is there, and then my. Twist my ears is there, no? So in my, yum sound is there. So that both the M will come under the alliteration. So the alliteration in the given poem I Dream of Spices is mother twists my ears. And also you have to underline that particular particular letter, children, that is yum. Okay, so that is called as alliteration. Alliteration is a repetition of the consonant. You can see 2 times the word M, the letter M is repeated at the beginning of 2 or more words in a line. So children, shall we recite the poem I Dream of Spices? Yes, come on. My mother would say, little boy Raj, go to Muthu's and get some cinnamon, betel leaves and ginger and garlic. And so I go to the shops singing all the way, and when Muthu asked me what I had want, I rattle off a list. Sesame seeds, onions, tomatoes and pickles. And back home, mother twists my ears. Ouch! The poem is written by Raj Arumugam.
So dear children, now we can see grammar. Okay, so all of you can take your grammar book, page number 14. Okay, so please children, everybody take your grammar textbook, page number 14. We are going to see phrase and clause. Today which grammar part we are going to see, children? Phrase and clause. Okay, I hope everybody has taken the page number 14. Okay, so yes children, now shall we start phrase and clause. So earlier you would have learned about subject and predicate. Okay, yes, you know what is subject and what is predicate. So the predicate will always carry with a verb. Okay, yes children. So now we can learn about what? Phrase and clause. So how can we identify a phrase and clause? Children, first let me explain to you about phrase. So what is a phrase, children? So how a phrase will be? Yes, A phrase is a group of words. A phrase is a group of words which has sense. Okay, it has sense, which means a meaning. Something it is conveying which has sense, but it does not give the full meaning of the sentence. That particular phrase alone cannot give you the full meaning of the sentence because it will not have the subject and a verb. So the phrase will not have a subject and a verb. Okay, let me explain you with an example. Okay, for example, if I tell buttery popcorn, okay, if I tell buttery popcorn, that is a phrase. So now I'm telling about popcorn. Okay, that is a phrase. So then this phrase gives sense. Yes, it is a buttery popcorn. So it has meaning. What meaning it has? It is a popcorn, that's all. Who is eating the popcorn? They didn't mention. Is the popcorn tasty? No, they didn't mention anything. So this has sense. The phrase has sense, but it does not give the full meaning. Only when the clause is added to that, it gives a meaning. For example, if I tell, I ate buttery popcorn. Okay, if I tell I ate buttery popcorn, then it gives the full meaning, no? Yes, I ate buttery popcorn. So it gives a full meaning of that. So that's why they are telling that I ate buttery popcorn. I is a subject. Ate is a verb. Buttery popcorn is a phrase. Okay, so that's why I ate comes under clause. Okay, children? The clause will always have a subject and a verb, but the phrase will not have. So now I hope everybody understood this. Buttery popcorn is a phrase. Okay, it has sense, but it does not give the meaning. That is a full meaning it cannot give. So that is called as phrase. So everybody come on, tell me, what is a phrase? A phrase is a group of words which has sense, but it does not give the full meaning and it does not have a subject and a verb. Okay. So children, shall we see the examples for the phrase? Yes. So the first example is behind the curtain. Second one, made of gold. And the third example is at sunset. Okay. So the first one is behind the curtain. Second one is made of gold. Third one is at sunset. So these are the phrases given in your textbook, children. That is the grammar textbook, page number 14. So these are the phrases. So how can we give full meaning for that? If we give full meaning only, it becomes a clause. Okay. So behind the curtain. So they have given just behind the curtain. There is no other meaning. Who is behind the curtain or what is behind the curtain? Nothing is there. Just behind the curtain is a phrase. So how can we tell this, children? She is standing behind the curtain. So here comes the subject she and standing verb is here. So she is standing behind the curtain. So now only the sentence gives the full meaning, children. Okay. Then made of gold. My chain is made of gold. So that you can tell my chain is subject. Is verb here. My chain is made of gold. Made of gold is phrase. So the phrase is as sense, but it does not give the full meaning. Only when it is written as sentence, it gives the full meaning, children. On the third one, we can see at sunset. The sky looks beautiful at sunset. So the sky looks beautiful at sunset. So here is the subject as well as the verb is here. So then it gives the full meaning of the sentence. But the phrase does not have the full meaning. It gives only the sense. So what are the phrases we saw today? What is that? Behind the curtain, made of gold, at sunset. These are the phrases. So children, now we are going to see about clause. So far we have seen about phrase. Okay. So now we can see about clause. So what is a clause, children? A clause is a group of words which has a subject and a verb. Okay. But in phrase, it will not have a subject and verb. In clause, it has a subject and a verb. but it may or may not complete the sentence. Sometimes it completes the sentence, sometimes it will not complete the sentence, and it does not give the full sense to the particular sentence. For example, if I am taking the boy is going, that is a sentence here. Okay, the boy is going. The boy, subject. Okay, it is a subject. Is going, verb, action word. Is going, verb. So a clause has a subject and a verb, but here it does not complete the sense. That is, complete the sentence. Okay, it does not complete the sentence. Here it is hanging over. The sentence is hanging over because the boy is going. Where he is going, we do not know. What he is going to do, we do not know, right? So that's what they are telling. It may or may not complete the sentence. That is called as clause, children. Okay. So children, now we can see about different types of clause. So now we saw what is a clause, right? So now we can see the different types of clause. There are two different types of clause. Number one, main clause, and number two, subordinate clause. Okay, what are the two different types of clause? Main clause, subordinate clause. So main clause is otherwise called as principal clause or independent clause. Okay, principal clause or independent clause. Subordinate clause is otherwise called as dependent clause. Okay, so how many types of clause we are going to see today? Two types. Main clause or otherwise called as independent clause or principal clause. Subordinate clause is otherwise called as dependent clause. So first we can see about main clause. So what is a main clause, children? If a clause gives the full meaning of the sentence, it is called as main clause. What is a main clause? If a clause gives full meaning to the sentence, that is called as main clause. For example, when the president arrived, we burst crackers. Okay, when the president arrived, we burst crackers. This is the sentence. So in this sentence, you can see we burst crackers. So that is a clause here. So we is a subject. IVU there is a subject, you know, right? Yes, we is a subject. Burst. Burst is a verb. Okay, we burst crackers. So now what they are telling here, in the we burst crackers, subject is there, verb is there, and it gives a full meaning also. We burst crackers means we all burst crackers. So here it gives a full meaning. So that is why it is called as main clause. Okay, children. So what is a main clause? Main clause is a clause which gives a full meaning to the particular sentence. Example, we burst crackers. Yes, children. Now we can see what is a subordinate clause or dependent clause. So what is a subordinate clause? If a clause does not give the full meaning to the sentence, is called as a subordinate clause or dependent clause. Okay, if the clause does not give the full meaning. Okay, in main clause it gives the full meaning, but in subordinate clause it does not gives a full meaning. So that is why it is called as subordinate clause or dependent clause. So what is mean by subordinate, children? Depending on something. Okay, for example here, when the president arrived, we burst crackers. So here the subordinate clause, when the president, okay, when the president arrived, depends on the next clause. Okay, right? It depends. So that is why this when the president arrived is called as the subordinate clause. And here you can see, children, when the president arrived. So the president is a subject. So this the common rule in clause is the clause will have a subject and a verb, no, right? So when the president arrived, the president, subject, arrived, verb. So a clause will have a subject and a verb. But when the president arrived, that's all. What happened when the president arrived? What happened? We do not know, right? So it is depending on the next clause. So that is why the subordinate clause or dependent clause does not gives the full meaning to the particular sentence. Okay, children. So children, in today's grammar part, what we saw? We saw about phrase and clause. Okay. So I hope all of you would have understood this, right? The phrase and clause. In phrase, we saw about what? Phrase is a group of words which does not give the full meaning to the sentence. Okay, it does not give gives the full meaning to the sentence. Example, buttery popcorn is a phrase. So if it is buttery popcorn, that does not give the full meaning. Okay, just a popcorn, we know that, that's it. When the other subject and verb is added to the sentence, only then it gives the full meaning. So the phrase will not have the will not give the full meaning to the sentence we saw. And we saw about clause. What is a clause? A clause will have a subject and a verb. But the clause also may or may not give the full meaning to the sentence. In clause, we saw about two types of clause. What is that? Main clause or independent clause or principal clause is the first one. Second one is a subordinate clause or dependent clause we saw, children. So what is a main clause? Main clause always gives a full meaning to the clause. Full meaning to the sentence. Okay. So that is called as main clause. For example, when the president arrived, we burst crackers. So we burst crackers is a main clause here. And subordinate clause. So in subordinate clause, what they are telling? The subordinate clause does not give the full meaning to the sentence. Okay. Example, when the president arrived. So it is hanging over there, right? When the president arrived does not give the full meaning to the sentence at all, but it has a subject and a verb. Okay, children, I hope everybody understood this grammar session also. And here you have the book exercise.
Yes, children, now shall we see the book exercise that is given in your grammar textbook, page number 15. So first A. Write P for phrase and C for clause in the boxes. So will you find, children, which is phrase and which is clause? If it is phrase, you have to write P. If it is clause, you have to write C. First, you see the first question, long and short. Long and short is a phrase. Why, children? Because it doesn't have a subject and a verb. So, long and short, phrase. Second one, as flat as a pancake. That is also phrase. Third question, they moved to Mumbai. They moved to Mumbai is a clause. Why? Because they is a subject, moved is a verb. So subject plus verb is always a clause, but it also gives a full meaning to the sentence. So it is a clause. Next, fourth question, with a shout, phrase or clause? It is phrase. After the dinner. Fifth question, after the dinner is a phrase. Okay, children. Next, sixth question, we skipped the rope is a phrase or clause? Clause. Why? Because we is a subject, skipped is a verb. We skipped the rope is a clause. In the meantime. In the meantime is a phrase because it is in the meantime, but it doesn't tell what happens in the meantime. It doesn't give the full meaning, so it is a phrase. And the next one is it rained heavily is a clause because it is a complete sentence and it gives full meaning. Okay, children, now I hope you know to identify which is phrase and which is clause. Yes, children, now shall we see find out the phrases in the following sentences. So you have to find the phrases, children, not the clause. You have to find the phrases. So the first question, I was waiting at the railway station. So you know what is a phrase, right? A phrase will not give the full meaning, but it has sense, but it does not have a subject and a verb. Okay, children. So first, what is that? I was waiting at the railway station. So the phrase is at the railway station. Question number 2. My teacher praised me for my success. So the phrase is for my success. This is a cup made of glass. So what is the phrase here? Made of glass, because this is a cup comes under subject and verb, so it will be a clause. So made of glass is a phrase. Children are playing in the garden. So what is the phrase, children? In the garden. Children are playing in the garden. So the phrase is in the garden. Fifth question. She was in a cheerful mood. She was in a cheerful mood. So the phrase is in a cheerful mood. She was will come under subject plus verb, that is clause. So what is the phrase, children? In a cheerful mood. Okay children, now shall we see this one? Underline the main clause and circle the subordinate clause. So you should know which is main clause and which is subordinate clause. What is the definition of that, children? Main clause will always convey the full meaning, which gives the full meaning is called as a main clause, but the subordinate clause will not give the full meaning, but it depends on the main clause. Question number 1. If Rita comes, we will have a celebration. So here, no children, if Rita comes, we will have a celebration. We will have a celebration is a main clause because it is fully conveying the meaning. Okay, so they are celebrating, that's it. But if Rita comes is a subordinate clause. Why? Because if Rita comes, what will happen? We do not know anything, right? So if Rita comes, so the answer depends on the main clause. So the subordinate clause depends on the main clause. So if Rita comes is subordinate clause, we will have a celebration as main clause. Question number 2. Though he tried his best, he lost the game. So which is a subordinate clause, children? Though he tried his best. Because though he tried his best does not give the full meaning, but it has sense, that's it. So it is hanging over there. It does not give the full meaning, but it depends on the next main clause. He lost his game. Though he tried his best, he lost his game. So he lost his game. He lost the game is the main clause. Question number 3. If they get married, they will stay in Goa. If they get married, subordinate clause. They will stay in Goa, main clause. Okay, children. Question number 4. If he wins the lottery, he will buy a car. If he wins the lottery is a subordinate clause. It has a subject, verb, but it does not give the full meaning. He will buy a car, main clause. You have to underline the main clause because it gives a full meaning, children. Question number 5. You cannot enter the exam hall unless you have a hall ticket. So which is a subordinate clause? Unless you have a hall ticket is a subordinate clause, because subordinate clause will not give the full meaning, right? So unless you have the hall ticket, what will happen? There is a question, so it is subordinate clause. So you cannot enter the exam hall is the main clause, so you underline the main clause. You cannot enter the exam hall. Here you can see, children, D, fill in the blanks with suitable clauses. So already one clause they have given and they have given a blank. So you have to fill the blank with one more clause. He was wearing a coat because it was cold. Here you can find, children, he was wearing a coat is one clause because it was cold. Here you can find that it is a subject, was is a verb. So this is also one of the clause. Second question. I met a lady when I went to a function. Here I met a lady is one clause. When I went to a function is another clause which is suitable for this question. Third question. Do you have a pen that you borrowed from me? So here, do you have a pen is a which clause? Main clause or subordinate? It is a main clause because we are very clearly asking the question, do you have a pen? Here, that you borrowed from me, that is a subordinate clause. Okay, so here they are telling that the pen which you borrowed from me, please give me, like that. Okay, the meaning is conveyed here. And then fourth question. India is a country where people speak many languages. Okay, so India is a country it is a clause, and where people speak many languages is one more clause. People is subject, speak is verb, children. Okay. Question number 5. He went by foot. Here you can see, children. He went by foot is a clause because it has subject he, went, verb. So the answer is he went by foot because he missed the bus. Here you can find, children, he is a subject, missed is a verb. So this is also a clause. So what is the answer? He went by foot because he missed the bus.
So my dear children, so start to do the exercise at your home. Okay, so do the grammar exercise at your home and learn the poem also, children. What poem? I Dream of Spices, a beautiful poem. So recite that poem or rattle that poem. Okay, so keep learning, children. So I'm very happy to meet you once again, and thank you so much, children, for giving me this opportunity to teach you. It's a great pleasure for me, children. So hope all of you will be good and safe. Thank you so much. Bye bye.